Hi, Eric. Welcome to our counseling session. I'm so happy that you are here. And I'm wondering what brings you to a counseling session?
Hi. Yeah, I've just been pretty stressed in general is the best word I can use to describe it. I've got two young boys. My oldest son, he's turning 6 in a couple weeks here. And my youngest is 4. So school's just out right now for both of them. One just got out of preschool, the other got out of TK. He'll be in kindergarten next year, and um, so that's kind of hitting us at the same time. My wife, we've been married for 12 years. She just
Mhm.
started a new job, and she was actually working at a restaurant for 18, 19 years, same restaurant. And, this is a big change, I think, for her in general. Because doing the same job for 19 years it's, you know, I did kind of the same thing, so I guess I empathize with her, where it's just making that leap out into full-time work. Although we both think that the timing is right, it's new, and it's I think it's a little bit hard. On top of that, I'm working full time, and I'm actually in school. I'm in a master's program right now, and it's really just balancing our time. I've noticed that tensions kind of are high, when we're talking, maybe not the best communication. And it's kind of just it I feel like it's making me more tired. Like we're just both exhausted, and it's kind of hard to meet in the middle of having a productive conversation, but yet we both have our own stressors. So I feel like the communication's off, and I don't want to spend the precious time that we do have arguing, because I think we're both stressed. So it's I don't know, maybe just some direction there. I feel like I need to be more supportive, but I'm kind of stretched thin. I'm doing three full-time things at once, and I know what I got myself into in a master's program, but at the same time, I really am doing this to benefit our family moving forward. So it's kind of where I'm at right now.
So, what I hear you say is that you're feeling stressed and anxious because of all these changes that are happening with your family, and it's also causing some tension between your marriage. Tell me more about
Hmm.
that tension. How does it make you feel?
Oh, I've been really working on being patient in general, like just internally. That's how I feel. But it gives me anxiety, to be honest,
Mm.
because I feel like there's this line of where I want to defend myself because I'm busy, but I also don't want to defend myself because that I don't feel like I'm validating her feelings, and but I have them too. So it's just this, like, anxiety and confusion. Maybe is the best way to put it. Like, I don't know where to start, because we're interrupted a lot of times with the kids too, because I mean they're young, and they're with us at all times. So it's just this, I don't know, kind of whirlwind maybe, where it's
Yeah.
like the it's hard to find that free time when I'm doing homework, when normally we could talk after the kids went to bed, right? But now I'm back. I got to get my homework because I got to wake up early in the morning to go to work. So I've tried to set some time for us, and things come up, whether it's uh, in the field that I work in. Sometimes I don't know when I'm going to be busy until I'm busy. It's not like I can clock in and clock out. Things will change at the drop of a hat, and when that happens, it adds that extra stress too. So I just feel like I'm all over the place, and I'm really trying to get balanced.
So it sounds like you value balance and time with your family, and the struggle is trying to balance it. You feel
Hmm.
like you don't have enough time, that it's causing you anxiety because you're trying to juggle all these things on your plate. And so it's making you feel anxious.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of anxiety. I don't know who is, I guess, but when I get uneasy, um, I tend to crawl up inside my shell, for like a safe place, as opposed to really get out there and talk about what I need to talk about, or communicate better. and I know I've worked on it in the past. I feel like it's just been easier to do it in the past because I haven't been so busy. Um, and I want to find that time where I don't know what it's going to take, but for us just to get on the same page.
It
Because
sounds,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, I think for me, it, because of the tension, it's like it's not an ease into the conversation that we have. We're both already high stressed when we get into it, and I think it can either go sideways, whether it's her or whether it's me. I can easily be agitated because of the anxiety and the angst that I'm feeling.
I see, I see. So you're both stressed, you're both feeling just the anxiety of the situation. And one strength that I see in you is that you realize, you observe this, and you're not liking what you're seeing in your family situation. And um, I understand. I can sense that in you. I can see it in your expression that you're stressed and anxious.
Hmm. Yeah, I value time with my wife, and I want that time to be enjoyable. I don't want that time to be just high strung, I guess, or where we're not connecting. And I know that there's busy seasons in life, but it's just this one especially is hard because I don't know. I feel like I kind of did it to us with school at the same time.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe I feel some guilt there.
So you said that connecting with her was important. Tell me what it's like when you do connect, when it is a good time with her. What is that like?
Hmm, that's a good question. I would say that recently I've been doing this thing. If we go out to dinner and we get date night time, away from the kids, it's I leave the phone in the car,
Hmm.
um, because I want that time to not have any distractions. I feel like that's happened less recently with school than the conscious effort I was making before to do that. Um, but you know, obviously we talk about the kids. I think that happens, but I try to not do that too, just because we're talking about them all the time. I want it to be us because I've heard from people in the past, and just to make sure that you're still dating, even though you're busy, because when the kids are gone and out and they move on to college or whatever they do, um, you're still dating. Uh, I don't want that time to pass us by. I want to still have what we have, and it brings me just happiness to see a smile on her face and not be
Mm,
stressed. And I guess I'm a fixer. I want to fix it, but I don't
mm.
feel like I can. Like, now's a really hard time to fix it, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And so your expression changed when you started talking about good times with your wife. And it looks like you value that connection with her, and um, that your relationship is very important. And so I want you to stay there for a minute, and that feeling of that happiness that you feel when you think of a good time with her. Tell me more about that.
I feel like in those moments, I feel peace. I feel
Mm,
peace um, in everything. And I think you're kind of making me realize that, like, peace is another thing that I really value, because I want to be at peace. I want her to be at peace. Um, and and I love doing these random things. For instance, on Mother's Day, I wanted to do something different. So the boys and I, we went to Michael's and bought
mm,
canvas paint things, and I set up a paint night and I cooked dinner and we sat outside by ourselves in the backyard in the patio, and it was like so fun. Like we were smiling, we were all laughing together, and although we didn't have the alone time, it was special, and we didn't need to go out and spend a whole lot of money and have a prefix Mother's Day meal. Like it was unique in its own, um, and I loved it. Like it's just like that's like I love our little tribe, and it's you know it makes the stressful times um kind of disappear, when we get there, and I want more of that.
I noticed that as you said in those feelings, you calmed down and your
Yeah.
perspective changed. And so that's a great realization that you have that awareness of what needs to happen, at least from the choices that you have told me you have made with your family, making Mother's Day such a special event that didn't take much, but it took an effort or a conscious effort on your part to make it happen. And um, that's fantastic. You have that self-awareness, and um, it's good to see that you can feel the difference when you make this effort in just in you and in your family life.
Hmm.
You find that peace or that balance that you're seeking, and sounds like you want more of it.
I would love more of it. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that there's I've noticed in the past too that if I really do just share a true emotion, like even if it is stress, but be honest about it, um, that we do have success there. And as opposed to just being high strung, like I know I kind of mentioned that word before, but like it, I don't know, maybe I describe it as a like a text message could be misconstrued when you
Mm,
send something and you read it one way, but it really wasn't meant to be sent that way, right? But if you
right.
say something with that, like that you mean it, that you have something behind it, even if it is stressful or worrisome or hard, um, uh, it's hard to be met with something with negativity. And I feel like I need to remember that. I forget, maybe I forget when I'm just so busy, but something I could work on, I guess.
Sounds like you do value um, noticing your emotions and catching them at the when you can, and that allows you to make a different choice during that moment, and so it gives you
Hmm.
perspective. And so it's sounds like you're aware of of the balance that you're seeking, and now it's trying to find it in your life. And tell me more what that looks like if you were starting with balance now.
That's a good question. I think I could probably set better boundaries in general all around, not just in one specific place. Um, I could set boundaries at work where I don't pick up the phone on the weekends because I don't have to, or unless it's life threatening, which we always have somebody on staff in case something like that does happen. I think I maybe need to relinquish some control there, and know that I'm getting my work done during the week, because obviously having my job is, uh, I value my job and I value what I do. Um, and then making more time um, with my wife. I would say that the best way I could do it is maybe set a time where we could have a sitter, where it's specific, where where I could where we know we're going to get that time where something does not come up. Um, Even though we have to pay for a sitter and the money can be strapped, it's more important to have that communication. So that's probably a good way to have balance there, so I could support her in her new job, and she can then support me because I need it too. Um, and then with school, I don't know, just probably more organized in the week, as opposed to I probably need to set some time aside at the beginning of every week and make a plan. Like I'm going to get this done on this day. This is my goal to get this done on this day, even if I can't accomplish it because something comes up, obviously I'll hit my deadlines, but um, it's okay if that's the case. I'll try not to, but just have a little more structure there because I feel like that's where it's kind of where I can find myself maybe staying up too late
Mhm.
to do the work, and then that bleeds off into everything else. Because I'll then if I don't get to sleep, then I'm probably a little grumpier. Probably don't answer things the right way, and I don't know. I guess those are the three things that I could maybe see some benefits with.
Okay. Well, I am so glad that we were able to discuss these pending issues that you're having, Eric. Our time is coming to a close. And let me just recap to see if I was able to hear everything you expressed. You came in because you're trying to find balance, the stressful life or the changes that is happening in your family. You mentioned your wife is changing jobs. Your kids are ending school. Their summer is happening, so they're dealing with the change of them being at home. You're having changes as well at your work, and you are balancing school and life. And so you're finding yourself feeling anxious and stressed, and it's causing tensions at times with your wife. So you came here to try to find maybe some ways of to alleviate this or even just discuss about it. And you came up with three things you can try. You mentioned that you do turn off your phone on the weekends, so that's a plus. And perhaps maybe finding more time with your wife, maybe finding sitters in the weekend so you can go out and spend more quality time with her, as well as perhaps, excuse me, perhaps also just having awareness on how to make time and balancing these things in your life. And so, is this correct? Is this,
Yeah,
yes. And so,
absolutely.
I'm very pleased that you were able to come out with just solutions you can apply now. I would like you, if you can, to try one of these things this week. And for our next session, let's continue to explore and get creative because I know you have a full and busy life and try to find balance and the
Hmm.
situation that you're going through. How does that sound?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay,
All right.
feedback. That was great.
Oh,
Hold on 1 second. I'm
yes.
pulling up the,
The questions.
yeah, thought I had it up. It was a different page here. Sorry, just 1 sec.
That's okay.
I had everything ready. Apparently that tab disappeared. Okay, so feedback. Identify one or two areas of strength from this session. What responses help you feel understood? I thought you did an amazing job with talking about that I recognize my emotions. That's one thing that like I really have been working on that. I've gone through some of my own therapy and like internal, like I'm gonna check myself first. It's probably the biggest thing I've done in like the past 2 years. So the fact that you caught on to that was awesome. And um I thought that was really good. Um let's see what responses had a positive impact. I felt heard. I felt heard and understood. Um, in general, I when you had me pause and reflect, it brought up some things that I in my head I prepared what I was going to say, but I didn't wasn't prepared to share more. But it was
Mhm.
valuable. Like I actually I felt like I really did get something out of it. So I enjoyed that too, and I thought you did a great job at that. Um, let's see here, areas of growth. The only one that stood out to me, really, I would say, is at the end. I know I came with a lot of emotions, like at you, and a lot of things, but there was, I almost felt it like a little bit of anxiety replaying like all the things I had on my plate.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like shortened, like
Mm.
a little more summarized
Mhm.
in that at the end. But then like you came in and you set the goals, and it was really good after that. But I like there was a part of me I was like, man, in my head I was like, oof, I do have a lot, um, which I know I do, but
Mm.
I don't know. That honestly, that's really all I can say. It just brought it. It was like, oh yeah, that was a lot. That's a lot. I do that, and then it kind of I was like, oh man, I do that. So that's really as far as that's concerned. But definitely, you felt present. I didn't feel like you broke eye contact. You made me really think. The your statements did facilitate more the let's stay with that feeling. I loved that part of the session. And then yeah, how you presented for me to reflect
Mhm.
um on what it was like to have a good time with my wife, because I think I didn't I'm going back in my head. You'd asked me that question and maybe I didn't give you enough on it. And then you asked me again because I
Mhm.
felt like I didn't give you enough on it.
Mhm.
So then I focused more to
Mhm.
really dig deep. And then that's what brought up me
Mhm.
talking about, hey, what did I do that was successful lately? Oh, it was painting on Mother's
Mhm.
Day. And that actually it made me happy. I was like, oh, that was a fun night.
Mhm.
Like it was super fun.
Yeah, you just
So
lit up when you were talking about that. So
it
yeah.
was yeah, it was great. Yeah, we got like little we did our handprints and stuff,
Mm.
and it was really fun.
That's fun.
But yeah, no, that was really well done. I was extremely impressed, and felt like I was in a counseling session. I mean, it really did. Like I just it flowed well. So
Well, I appreciate your feedback.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to stop recording and
okay.
then